They'll talk as long as you let them.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
Mine's on.
Okay.
I spent the morning trying to re-educate myself.
There you go.
Call to order.
I'm sorry I can't get my microphone on. I will speak loudly.
I'll just shoot my
The meeting of the Historic Preservation Board, Denison, Texas, will come to order. It is 12:01 p.m., Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. Present are members Kurt Chakowski, Linda Anderson, Steve Riley, and myself, Kirsten Solomon. Before we have public comments, are you?
Yes, I just wanted to bring up that 501 West Main was tabled and for this meeting, and I didn't realize that, so I didn't put it on the agenda, but they will be ready by the next one. We could have squeezed it in for this one, but they really needed a little bit more time.
So do we have to do anything procedurally to officially table it till next week? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So has anyone has a request to speak card? Public comments done? Okay. We will move on to items for individual consideration. We're going to skip to B, and that is to receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on the request to paint a mural on the east-facing side of 700 West Main Street.
So F&I Pond is proposing a mural, and is that the only picture? Yeah, there. That's the color version of what it would be on the side there. And is that all? Okay. So they are here to speak. Both the property owner and the artist are here.
Got my spoons on, let's do it.
You have to say your name and address.
For the record.
Where I live, or just
Yeah.
my gallery, or does it matter? Okay,
In case we wanted to come hunt you down and congratulate you or set you on fire
I'm
later.
so,
we
my
just need to know
palms
that
are
way.
sweating right now, I'm so nervous, I'm kidding.
Don't worry about it.
626 West Main is SM Home Interiors, and I have a little art space in the back called the Odd Frog. My name is Matt Bardwell. I've known the Marr family for a long time, I guess really my whole life. So it was kind of odd to run into them in the first place just to do a mural, so it's kind of nostalgic in that right. But yeah, I don't, do you have questions? What do I need to?
So, Matt, you might, I'm sorry, I forgot to say, the design committee has reviewed this and approved it. So, you might start with the part you're going to paint and the part you're not going to.
Okay. If you look in the back of the building, there's that, where the arrow is, that's like corrugated metal. So I'm gonna start right in front of that, where that lip is, and I'm gonna go to where that Suburban is, right there, that lip. So in between those two spaces, I'm gonna put the train and Carpenter's Bluff and some of the river. I just really kind of wanted to keep the train kind of rustic red, like some of the original. I know it's not a steam engine, but I think that was one of the when Carpenter's Bluff was built, I think that was one of the original trains that came across there. So I just kind of wanted to keep it Denison.
Are you trying to match the MKT colors?
Yeah, I actually went to the Railroad Museum, and they were showing me postcards, and all kinds of stuff. I just got the lettering black, and it's supposed to be white, but I can change that, so.
Stephen, I like this one a lot. I like the way it looks on that long expanse of wall. And quite frankly, I love your drawing and the sort of impressionistic nature of it as opposed to the hard lines that all the other murals have. And it would make me very happy if indeed the finished product looked impressionistic like
Really?
the rendering.
Awesome.
That's just my opinion.
I mean, I personally love like sketch art. Like that's my
Indeed,
favorite. So
indeed. And it would be different than the others.
yeah,
Obviously, we have the parvenu to approve the sketch as we're looking at it, but I think if you're amenable to that, and my co-members are amenable to it, I guess procedurally, it might have to go back to the design committee to say that this rendering, as it is presented and in this style of art, is what in fact you intend to paint.
well, I'm a part of the design committee.
Well, boom, boom. I guess you have to recuse yourself.
I'm just kidding.
And the owners of the building, what do you think about that? That's what I want.
You want it to look this way.
And this is the rendering that was approved, right?
Perfect. So it's not just a sketch, Stephen. I think this will be such a refreshing difference from the rest of the murals. So, yes, thank you.
Awesome.
It will take up
Thank
the
you.
expanse of the
just like the
whole
orange
side of
and
the
white.
building. It'll take up the whole expanse.
Except for in between those two spots that I was talking about, because they're corrugated metal, so it has
It
like,
won't go over that.
no, I'll leave that kind of like almost like a border to it.
Okay.
So you've got about 35 feet or 30,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Tell me about the paint you're gonna use, what,
Usually it's acrylics is what I use. I'm a brush artist. I don't do
and
cans.
that corrugated metal is not gonna, it's not gonna weather or lose its luster?
I'm not painting on the metal.
Okay, just,
Yeah, it's on the brick.
Okay.
And then I will finish it with like a outdoor sealant. Yeah. I did a guy's Harley trailer just because it's an outdoor thing. I did that last year. He carries his bikes in it, and it still looks really good. So I
how
think
long do you think it'll take you to do?
If I just stay on it, it could be done in a week, but
There's
realistically-
a physical limit to how much you can.
realistically 2 weeks. Yeah.
And the remainder of the facade will be the color that it is now.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah,
won't-
because
you
I
won't
think
be
like the
doing-
browns and the
we won't-
trees and the grass will
and we won't
match
be doing
that.
anything else to the remainder of the facade, correct?
No.
Okay.
Both to you and to the owners, we have another mural that's coming up here, and I don't know if it's required, but what I really like is a commitment from the owners that if there's any damage or need to repair within 5 years, they will work with the partners to be able to fix it.
I usually do give that guarantee just because you never know. Somebody could come in and tag their little tag on it and mess it up, and then I just can't leave it like that. So I got to come and fix it. But
Awesome, since you're local, I really like that.
yeah, I'm literally next door. So it
then-
works out.
And the last thing is this fully funded, or are you going through the Arts Council and?
Yeah, it's funded.
They got it right in here.
I missed that.
Well, it looks great. I like it.
Thank you all.
Good?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion or any more discussion or?
Yeah, I make a motion, we accept the mural as is presented, and approved by board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Steve Riley to approve and a motion or a second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion
And-
carries.
On the east side of 700 Main. Do you need that for the?
In the motion.
The east side, okay. All right, thank you. Going to C?
See,
Yeah.
Did you have something? No. Oh. So we'll move on to C. Next, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on adding a black railing on second-story rear exterior at 325 West Main Street.
Have they started work on it?
So, I'm sorry, I just need a moment. Okay, so it's on the back, and we approved the pergola last time. And previously, you had asked if they had the railing on it, and they said they didn't know what they were going to do. And so that is,
Top right, yeah.
yeah, that is what it's going to look like. Grant, did you figure out the difference in the revised? Okay. They sent an updated version. Go ahead and put it back on that last. Who has approved this? Okay. So, do you have anything?
I was only asked about the different kinds of, if it mattered, like the width of the
rails.
spindles and stuff like that. We're good with the material and the look of it.
Okay.
It was also a height issue, I believe, so just making sure that it.
Code
matched
compliant
all-
for the,
Yes, all of the building codes and stuff like that.
So I have the Bob Graham's number. His daughter was going to represent him, but her child got sick, and so she let me know, and then he gave me his number if we had any questions. But it's just, I'm trying to think how to say this. Can you go back to one of those pictures? Keep going. Oh, we didn't get the picture of the back, did we? Okay. So maybe you had it in your packet.
We do.
One in there.
Okay. It's just the back, yeah, because there's a wall next to it on one side. So it's the side and the back.
and that wall's gonna stay when the rebuilding does, or when it's renovated?
Well, that's the intention. They would have to come before you to demo it.
If I remember, the last time, it was just a problem, they didn't comply with staff, and we didn't have a lot of problem with everything else. It was the non-compliance that we had an issue with. And it seems like they're doing everything by the book now.
Right, they wanted to, put up wooden lattice initially, and so that wouldn't be a life safety issue, right? It wouldn't stop somebody from falling through, and that's why they came back with this material, that it needs to be a little more sturdy.
Well, I appreciate that they have come back to us, since we've seen this number of times, and before they started work.
You know, they did repaint their building a different color.
I did note that, I wasn't gonna say that till afterwards.
Oh, well, I said it now.
I'll check that. I'm
The windows
sorry,
look
I
good.
just haven't compared it to
Yeah.
the previous color.
Yeah,
He told me what they repainted it, but I don't
yeah.
have what was approved
It
yet.
looks good. I personally don't have
I
a
don't have a
problem with the
it either.
color. It looks good, and the windows look fabulous.
So
Did
if
a
you,
wonderful job on the windows.
if you would like, then I can approve that staff level
Yes.
for the paint. Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
okay. So any more discussion on adding the black railing?
In that case, I'd make a motion to approve the addition of a black fence around the exposed perimeter of the second-story rear exterior of 325 West Main.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Kurt Chakowski to approve and a second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. So we'll go back to A. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on the request to paint a mural on the north-facing side of 311 West Main Street.
So this is the current photograph and then the proposed mural. Stephen Ray Bohall is the artist, and he has been previously approved and painted various murals in downtown. He painted the Eisenhower mural on Burnett and the Ashburns mural, and some other things in town.
Jill Butler.
Oh, the Butler mural also. So, the design committee has looked at it and approved it, and, the tenant is here to answer any questions.
My apologies, I'm sorry, I didn't have any backup at the shop, so I had to wait on a customer or two.
State your name and address.
My name is Elsie Russell, and I own Two Chicks Home and Market at 311 West Main Street. Not the building. Colleen and Gerardo Mangioli, I never say that right, I've known them forever. Mangioli own the building. Thank y'all for letting me come and answer any questions you may have.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good afternoon.
So, girl, it's running together, isn't it? I'm just telling you. I have some additional photos that y'all may not have in your packet if y'all have any questions about those too. I think I might be prepared.
I commend you for looking ahead to the next phase and then working to get your back entrance, which may become your primary entrance, during the construction period.
Thank you. So that's in the packet too, Donna. Donna shared that with y'all. We're just trying to be visible during the next phase of construction. And we are lucky that that back area is open to Woodard Street. So that could be a directional for lots of customers and people visiting downtown. And I don't know if she shared with y'all too, I'll just give you this little caveat of this too. We have spoken to a lot of the other building owners, and where it's appropriate, historically appropriate. Stephen's rendering is of the smoke, we're calling it Denison in Bloom, and there's opportunities later on, we hope, that it can filter down the alley and kind of be like a cohesive mural connection to each building if they wanted to do that. And we had talked to another building owner too who said it'd be so amazing to do some sculptures of the flowers and attach it to the building too. So that's not part of this for y'all, but just wanted you to know the whole vision out there too.
Ms. Russell, I'd like to, just like Mr. Chakowski, commend you for taking leadership on the back facades when we move into that block.
Thank you.
And you're right about being able to see from Woodard. There's also parking back there. But I commend you for the leadership. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's kind of selfish on my part too, but
So you've got some repair that's gonna have to go on.
We
So
do.
why don't you tell them about that, and I'll show them the pictures for
Okay.
the inside and the outside.
so on the exterior photo that you see there that's marked out, there's, the artist asked if we could remove those bars up above the window, the doors, and there's actually some little windows there too. So we got up there to check it out to see how easy it would be to remove those, and it turns out that some of that wood is rotted. We had some water damage, especially from 2 storms ago that were coming in the back, which it came in everywhere, most every building. But that it's an opportunity for us to repair that. So we already have a contractor who came out this weekend. He said he has 34 people ahead of us, but he said he could slip us in and get that repair. It would go right back to exactly what it looks like, except for the bars would be removed. The bars are not historic from what we have learned. And we would really love for it not to look like a jail cell, you know, in the future too. So it'll go back to that too. As far as the windows. You cannot get to those windows from the interior of this building. Years ago, Mr. Ringler did a remodel on the inside of that building on the mezzanine level of it. And so the floor, when you open those doors, the floor is right there. And then above it is a build out of a room, which is, sorry, I had storage in there, but you can see there's a solid wall. You can't get to the interior of those windows because there was some discussion in design about those windows, but I can't bring them back to what they look like from the inside. And they've been painted over for years too. And, you know, we were like, it's the back of the building. So Stephen's mural only covers, if the scale is exactly as he's proposed, just a couple of those in the middle. So you still have that visual of that character of those windows too in the back. And I did that right here. Sorry, Donna. if you want to see. So those windows are approximately 6 foot wide. The door is about 6 foot wide, and measuring from below up, it looked like those panes were about 12 by 12 inches. So it's not too much of this percentage of the back.
So just to clarify, on the windows, you're gonna build them back like they are now?
Yeah, they're just going to repair, but they're going to stay just like that. We're not removing them. They're just going to repair that trim across the top and the board behind it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, they're going to, when they remove, also part of the repair too, is the bars being removed. The one on the right-hand side is enclosed and has been enclosed since I've been there for 9 years and even more. They enclosed that. There's a bathroom behind that, and the boards have buckled a little bit, and we had some water coming in when that storm happened. So those are the repairs that are going to happen.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That window that you're saying is boarded up, is that painted plywood now?
I think so, Kirsten. I just know that we had some, water coming in from below inside that you can see, and it's like they need to repair it. And I'll tell you, Colleen and Gerardo are amazing. They want these repairs, they want that building to last another 150,000 years. So they're really on top of their
I
repairs.
wonder with those bars removed, if you could utilize that space somehow for maybe your signage or?
Thank you. Yes, I want to do that, and that's going to be part of my alley activation grant that we're going to do. And then I'll just share this little bit with you too. There was some discussion in design, valid discussion. I favorably wanted the bars to stay for the longest time for security reasons. But the other thing about all this is when we do the mural, it would cover it up if we shut those doors and the bars on that, because those bars shut. But on the alley activation grant, which is a side note, really not y'all to have to approve it, but just so you'll see our vision. We have a bathroom when you walk in. We're going to put a code on that door, and then we're going to do a door in the hallway that has a little peephole and a ring doorbell, and all our signage will be in that little alcove also, like, here's how you reach us, here's how you get to us. And we're hoping that we can be a walkthrough for all the ones who can't have a back door walkthrough. Cafe Blackbird cannot, their customers cannot go through there. So that's the other reason why we want to do that too, and on the timeline that we're trying to do it. So
Smart marketing too.
little note on that.
I know you've got your permit already. If not, the guys in the back there can help you out. You're permitting to do the work?
No, but he was supposed to visit with the city. Maybe he did it today. Did he do it today?
I don't know. I'm looking at the guys back there.
No, those aren't my guys.
No. Those are the city's guys.
Oh, hello, can I get a permit today?
Sure, you can turn right around and talk to them.
We need to start with making
I'll
those
tell you who it
guys
is. His
happy.
name is Ed
They're the ones you
Bradshaw.
gotta-
He's amazing. He's worked with y'all before, so, yeah.
Hey, I'm a rule follower. Let me just tell you. We're not some shy-street contractor off the street somewhere.
I also commend you.
We're the real deal.
I also commend you and the owners. I really think it's great that you, up front, talk about how it's fully funded. You talk about 5 years, repair any damage to it and all that, so people aren't having to come back and say, hey, will you fix the mural?
I hope I'm there in another 50 years.
Yeah, my only comment, who came up with the design?
Okay, well, in a nutshell, Stephen is a friend of mine, and he is a Denison, Texas hometown boy, but he's moved to Kansas. And so I connected with him when the rail yard needed some murals and brought him into town. And he's just amazing and wonderful, and he loves Denison too. So I was flipping through his portfolio one day, and he had a mural that he had done in a restaurant in Kansas City of a profile view of a woman, big head, sideways in black and white, and all this burst of blooms of flower were coming out of her head. And so I was like, wouldn't that be cool with a train coming out as the smoke? And then I got with Brian Hander, who is part of this whole thing too, because, he does a lot with the murals and the sculptures downtown too. And so we put our heads together, and between Brian and I, we came up with that. There's one little thing that's not on there, and I'm gonna get Stephen to do. I need to verify the number of the first train that came across the river into Denison, and Brian will know that. And then if we can't do that, we are just gonna get him to write Katie on it somewhere too, just like as a signature too. But we tried to be historic and accurate on that steam train. And Mary Kiram, who's really good at this, said, yeah, that's about the best you can get, so. There you
Well,
go.
I like how life-affirming the flowers are as smoke.
Thank you.
Particularly in how all of y'all lived with that smoke and have lived with it. So
Yeah.
I like how life-affirming that is, particularly right by our blank space.
I love that analogy. Thank you. Yeah. Well, and part of our deal is too, okay, forgive me, Donna knows I say it all the time, I call it the fire pit. So with the construction started,
Maybe we can
coming
find
soon,
something
we have so much
creative.
opportunity with that being filled back up with life and Denison in bloom, aren't we blooming? So anyway, I just hope it becomes a wayfinding way for so many people who are visiting our amazing downtown.
Elsie, look at this.
That's why I'm so enamored with yours.
That's his barn.
This is your barn?
Yeah.
I love that. Karen's never shared that.
Well, no, because we moved away from there, but I took the mural with me. No, it was one in Sherman, but I took it with me.
That's a cute baby there.
But that's why I was so interested in your design, because it's absolutely gorgeous. So.
Nice job recording that for the minutes.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry.
Was that you or was that Linda? Was that you or was that Karen?
Just tell
that
Steve
did
when he gets
the
back,
flowers,
he's still
that
got
wanted
to
to
Oh, that was a muralist.
Just tell Steve when he gets back, he needs to put pilot wings on Jewel Butler.
When Steve gets back.
Yeah, when the artist comes back.
Oh, he needs to do something to the mural? Okay, well, we'll tell him to get him with you. Okay, I can certainly do that. He is hoping that he can start with y'all's approval and with the timing of the repairs, at least the 1st of November to beat the cold. And then, that's our goal. And I know it's a short timeline, but then January, February, March are too cold also. And then we're competing with construction on the street and construction in the fire pit. And he just can't be out there when the dust and the construction's going on too. So I appreciate y'all letting me share this today.
Certainly with our approval, you can walk right behind there and get their approval, and you can be on your way.
Okay.
Do I have to have a permit for the mural or just for the repairs?
We do the mural, they'll do the repairs.
Okay, that'll be Ed Bradshaw. We'll get that for them.
And with that, Mr. President, or Chairperson, I make a motion to approve the addition of a mural on the alley side at 311 West Main.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Kurt Chakowski, second by Steve Riley. All in favor? Okay, motion carries.
You guys rock, thank you.
Thank you, Elsie.
Thank you.
Can I be dismissed? Sorry.
Yes.
Is that it? Okay, yay.
After you get their business card.
I know who those guys are.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, moving on to D. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and consider approval of historic preservation ordinance update and recommendation of approval to city council.
So we have been working on this for several months now, and first, I think we may need to see if you have any questions or anything like that. Many of the items that are included have been questions when it came before you, and so now we've got clarification, and I really would like to start with your questions.
Just a couple things that I have. First of all, it does need a final editing script.
Right.
The script needs a final edit, is what I meant to say. Things are, you got like 3 sub-Cs, you got an X in there, you got periods indented and other things in there. So I have a collection of mine that I can send to you, but one final, all-inclusive, that everything's in the same font, everything is directly ordered, if it's gonna be a city ordinance, and if it's gonna go to the council, and then get put on the web, I'd like to make sure that there isn't anybody saying, well, what a piece of junk this is.
Right, and
I
I
have
just
some notes
got
about that,
this,
too.
I just got this back Thursday, and so I really had to hustle and make some edits. So hopefully those have to go back to legal to make sure that I, am not far-fetched in the edits I made. It was basically answering questions that they had. and of course the edits, like you said.
I would point out to the fellow board members here, some things that we spent some time talking about in the past. On page 38 of your packet, page 8 of the ordinance, section 30-10, is a discussion about enforcement, and it talks about the, I can't read my writing, Services Department in coordination with Donna will be the ones that inspect. And then in the same section, zone compliance, it's the neighborhood services or Donna who will issue the stop work. So I count that as a partial success, and it's not all only on Donna. And I think we had a great example of that last meeting when the stop work order was given, when it wasn't in compliance with what was presented, the renderings that were presented. I'd also point out page 40.
Hang on, can we stay there for a second?
Sure.
There's more. Linda, did you have something on that?
Actually, I had a note about, and I will send you my other edits later, but I also had a note about the enforcement, and that is, and I know we need to talk to the city attorney about it. I like the fact, as Kurt said, that other people are in the ordinances involved in that stop work, but why can't the marshal be involved as well? No? Okay.
Different process, so until it gets to a court process, the staff has to follow
All
our
right.
ordinances.
All right, thank
So-
you, thank you.
I had a question as well from the attorneys. They said that we might need to make sure that Robert, myself, or whoever else we said, I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Development Services Department.
Yeah, that's okay according to our ordinances.
Yeah, I think we just have to, and I have to read through it still and verify all of that stuff, but we have had discussion on making sure that, it's the HPO and maybe not calling, and it doesn't say your name in there, right?
No, it says
Just says
HBO.
Yeah, just making sure that it all coordinates together with everything else that's written, and if we have to change on our side, then we'll do that once other things are approved.
That was gonna be my question, is in the final thing here, the design guidelines, which we'll talk about next, is in concert with this ordinance, but is chapter 30 in concert with everything else?
Right, and I think that's part of what we've been doing overall, right? Is looking through all of our ordinances and making sure that they coordinate the way that they're supposed to. So we're doing all of that, and we'll make sure that that's how, this one goes too.
Okay, well then pending that, I think it looks good. The other thing I would say, just 2 pages after that, page 10, section 30-13, 14, 15, and 16, which are all kind of lined up, but I've just noted about the penalty, not the fees, keep going down to 14. The penalties are still $500 a day. So I'm not making any statement on it, I'm just saying we've had a lot of discussion on that. That's the number that's in the ordinance now.
Well, I know when we went to that training in Grapevine, that Fort Worth did a great job of having higher penalties and making that work. So I'm going to have to do some background on working with them to find out how they do it, because we were told that this is 500's the maximum allowed unless life safety, is that right, Robert? Did we discuss that in the, like, how can you increase the fines, do you know?
So, is the 500 for like being in violation of, or doing work with no permit or no HP approval, that kind of thing?
There's a limit on how much a city can fine
So
somebody.
it's what the,
State
Yeah.
law.
it's what the citation's issued for. If it's issued for, property maintenance in some way, then yes, it can be considered life, health, safety, and it would fall under, the historic preservation ordinance. It would fall under, the unsafe, building ordinance or property standards ordinance. So yeah, the fines are higher there.
Well, this would be another one that we want to make sure it's in compliance with the others, because the very first chapter, very first sentence, it's very, very broad. Failure to comply with any of the provisions of this chapter, chapter 30, historic preservation, shall be deemed a violation, and the violator shall be liable for a misdemeanor charge and subject to a fine not to exceed $500 per day. It doesn't say per day, $500 unless related to health and public safety, and to which, and each day that such violation continues shall constitute a separate offense.
So you gotta understand too, that even if we write, if we write a citation for violation of the HP ordinance, you know, like doing work, the judge is still gonna set, it says up to 500, it's not gonna be $500. He sets that lower. And even on, if it's a building maintenance or case or something, it's gonna start, oh, it can be up to that, but it doesn't mean it's gonna be that.
Now, is
The
that,
judge makes that call, we have no control over that.
yeah, the question that we're asking, and what we've had a lot of discussion about is that 500 ceiling? Or is there anything that stops it from being 1,000 or 1,500 or
Well,
5,000?
Yeah, state law determines on how much the city can set a fine. It's like if you have a speeding ticket on a surface
Yep,
street,
yep.
they only let you go up to a certain amount.
Yeah, we don't know what that number is.
So under 3014, the second paragraph, it says the penalty, if related to health and public safety, will be the maximum allowed by law as set forth in the general penalty provision of the Code of Ordinances. So that's if it is related to health and safety, then it can be more. But like Robert said, we set that at $500 and they, the judge sets the fine, and it's a standard fine, isn't it?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know what he's assessing, I don't get that information.
Yeah. I think it's standard, like if I did it or if you did it, it would be the same.
So we could believe then that it's not prohibitive amount. Or maybe we just need to come to observe the process. How would we know when that's gonna happen?
Well, I think our concern is that it's strong enough that it will make them think. Obviously,
It's been there before.
yeah,
It's
it
always-
is.
And my knowledge, my time here, it's always been there, and it hasn't had any
Right.
visible effect.
Right.
Well, it hasn't been enforced before.
So we tried to think through that and make it different, but we're told that we couldn't unless it's life, health, and safety.
Gotcha.
So I think our hands are tied, but
What, for the record, what Council, or Chairperson Riley just showed is Texas law saying the maximum penalty for a city ordinance is $500. But I like it $500 per day, and I'm heartened by the stop work order that was given previously, so that now, like speeding, it just depends if it's enforced or not.
Well, there would be nothing if it was a violation. You could cite them one day, and if it wasn't taken care of, technically the next day you could go cite them again. But at some point in time, the damage to your reputation is going to exceed the benefit. And to his point, just going farther, if it is a safety violation, it's up to 2,000, and if it's dumping, it's like 4,000. So those laws are all set by the state.
So I just wanted to make sure, and so my question now to you, Donna, is we have some edits that I think need to be taken
Right.
care of.
right.
Is there anything else you need to check and bring back here before you take it to city council, or?
No,
I know some of the city lawyers need to still look at it.
well, the city lawyers have looked at it. And the only two
Complete their
things.
review of it.
Pardon?
Complete their review of it.
I think it has to come, I know that there are other revisions that need to happen. We need to make sure other things are still in place. That's all I know.
So I got these last Thursday. I went through them and made edits, like, let me find one. And those, I want to make sure that my edit is appropriate. And so the only legal review that I'm aware of before council sees it is to making sure those edits are appropriate. But if you guys or any of my colleagues have any changes to make to it, then there possibly would need to be more.
Well, I don't have any changes, just the appearance and grammatical things. There are some things left off, some font colors and that kind of stuff. But other than that, I don't think there's anything of substance.
I didn't see anything of substance. We still had to dance around coloring windows, but that's just life.
That's in the design guidelines.
Design guidelines,
Oh.
hold those thoughts.
Oh,
That's what I was
So,
gonna mention.
I can give you an example of designation of landmarks of historic districts. So the certified local governments folks at Texas Historical Commission, they've reviewed this, and then the attorney has reviewed it. There were some legal items that they knew about that we didn't catch, and they corrected it. But the Kelly Little with the Texas Historic Commission, the certified local government, said Texas Local Government Code, she names the section, now states that a municipality may not designate a property as local historic landmark or district. So the question is, who designates that? So I made some changes in there that I think reflect the correct wording, but I'm not certain. But it says the council, by way of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I added a building, sites, well, I added who could do it. So a citizen may request it, a property owner may request it, and, historic preservation or the planning and zoning may request it. So everybody can request it as long as they're affiliated with Denison, but it has to go before, they have to be okay with it, or we have to state how many, like a percentage of them that are okay with it, of the property owners if it's a district, or you guys. So it's a technicality. What the version you got is the way I think, the way that I'm going to present it back to the attorney for approval.
So what I think, therefore, you are looking for Historic Preservation Board's stamp of approval and recommendation that pending that and with fixing of some stylistic edits.
Right.
That we would recommend to go to the city council.
Yes, once you're comfortable with, and this is the historic preservation ordinance only. And Harlan, did you get a chance to read it? Okay. So it takes a while to read. And I'm sorry you didn't get it before Friday, but I didn't get it back either, so
That's
we've been.
reality, too.
So, Karen, does that need a motion?
It needs a motion
What
today,
things-
but,
yeah.
And I would like to have a training to go through it together. It's not to say we can't make more edits, and I don't want to have to go back and do that, but I think we may see things even later that.
So if we were to say the board has a statement of support for this current vision and will give its approval pending final edits and last potential modifications
an approval.
following state and city authority review.
Does that mean that you would not want to have it brought back for a final review?
Well, that was depending.
We'd have to say, we'll have to say it'll have to come back after their review. It's basically tabled until those reviews are done, is that right?
Well, you can make a motion on it now. It doesn't have to be tabled.
So the plan was to
We
take
can,
it,
or we can make a statement of support and table final decision until, or do we have to state a date?
I would state a date.
So the plan was to take it at,
Actually, no, you know what, I don't think I would state a date, because if
Right.
Merlin hasn't gone through it yet, and I don't know who else has to go through it, I don't think I would put a date on it.
Can we make it event-driven, like pending city and
Yes.
state review?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can figure this out.
Yeah.
Unless, anybody have any other questions, any statements? Then I would make a motion that the HPB, that the Historic Preservation Board supports this current version of the city ordinance
Pending.
and will approve it, and it anticipates approval pending final city and state review of the final product.
final city and
State.
attorney review?
City, attorney,
Because
and
the
does that go to
state's,
CLG?
the state's not
Okay,
seen it.
Final city
I mean, already
and,
seen it.
attorney.
It's clear as mud, isn't it, Xavier?
Yeah, use the tape.
Is that the motion?
So I have a motion that the HPB supports this current version of the city ordinance and anticipates approval pending final city attorney, city and state review.
As long as that makes sense to you, it works for me.
But does that satisfy?
Bring it back for-
Is it what anticipate approval, is that a problem?
Yes, no,
Okay,
no, that isn't.
okay.
But, will there be, state review?
No,
No, take the state
that's
out.
already happened.
City and attorney.
City and attorney review.
Attorney and city review.
Right.
Will actually be city first.
And that's staff, right?
Because if staff has a problem and they have to send it back to the attorneys and they have a problem, ultimately they've got to be comfortable.
Yeah. Poor Donna's the ping pong ball here. Yeah. So that would be my best shot at a motion.
And I second that motion.
All right. So we have a motion, what he said. By Kurt Chakowski and a second by Steve Riley, all in favor.
Aye.
Okay, motion
Again,
carries.
commendations to everybody who's been working on this. Thank you, everybody.
Especially the Roslyn group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was invaluable to have them involved.
Okay,
Now you can go for the guidelines.
moving on to
No, I feel like I've been silenced.
receive a report, hold a discussion, and consider adopting October 2023 update to the City of Denison Historic Design Guideline, Historic District Design Guidelines, and recommending to City Council for adoption.
I was gonna let you go first.
Once again, we danced around what a clear window looks like. And I guess we will continue to. And there have been so many transgressions up and down the street that I guess we'll continue to.
So I have talked to the gentleman that puts on the information, and I have looked at the guidance by the National Park Service, and the written guidance is included in here. It says clear, and that means clear. I can have that guy come and visit with us, and I tried to call him once since he was sick, and we decided it had to be put off. I think that the way it's stated in here is the guidance that the National Park Service has, and that's as clear and as final answer as we're going to get. I know that it doesn't leave a lot of, a defined path, like, okay, you can have red but not blue. But I've not found any more guidance, and all the consultants, I've not been able to find any more guidance.
Yeah, just for everybody's reference, if you go to page 16, 3.07.6, I think it's on A, but it's also on C.
two Cs there.
Yeah, that's part of my editing. 3076.
Mary, do you know any additional? It says installing clear, low emissivity, low E glass or film without noticeable color in historically clear windows will reduce solar heat gain. So it's just saying that you can't tint them.
Yeah, I know what we were trying to do, saying, okay, no greater or no less than 5, if I'm trying to remember, either no greater or no less than 5. But this is the Department of the Interior National Park Service wording.
Well, I guess my comment on that would, these are buildings that need to be used and utilized by the property owners as best that they can be. And if they need to darken them to protect their merchandise or the atmosphere of the building, I think they ought to have a, mechanism for doing that. I understand that, and I'd have to look at the Park Service to understand what, they're protected monuments, or they're, in buildings 300 or 400 years ago, we're talking about buildings that are 100 and 125 years old. And some of them need to be replaced and fixed up. And I guess from my view, I'd want to be able to, that building owner to be able to utilize that as best they could, and let's have some guidelines. We approved some windows down the street that to be tinted at a certain percentage, and that's just to emit less light, not necessarily a color. So, I guess from my standpoint, if we could figure out a way to just say to have less light emitting, or
Well, that's what low E is saying.
I see these as guidelines though, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean that someone has to follow it, in my opinion.
Ooh.
well, I think that's one of the big problems. People are not following to their satisfaction, and not necessarily in the short time that I've been on the board, there seems this popped up a couple of times, and some people did, I think, a few things that they shouldn't have done, and we didn't really have a mechanism for dealing with it.
Yeah, if I were to go back to the ordinance, I think in the ordinance it says that that window shading is low E, if I remember right.
I don't recall.
Okay.
And the rationale for reducing heat loss and gain is there multiple times as well. And maybe what we end up with is that when that is a request, we deal with it incidents by incident. And people, if they don't like what we decide, have an appeal process.
There is an appeal process, yes.
And we don't have to say that our guidelines are X amount of light emission or heat control in and out. If somebody wants to make windows that aren't clear, then that's going to be a case-by-case situation, I think.
Yeah, if you go down to section 5.01 there, Grant, I think it's pretty much the same words. I'm just checking because it says for.
It's repeated
Yeah, that's what I thought.
a lot in here, and I even took it out once because they said, well, this is repeated, so it was in like, I'm sorry, I had it just a second.
501.6. It should be there. It's the same statement. Well, then, if these are guidance, if we take them in that way, then I guess I would say low emissivity without noticeable color works.
Well, they do say it pretty well on section D. Installing clear, low emissivity, low E glass or film without noticeable color. So it gives them the chance to put that on there.
That statement is pretty much the same one there in 1.6, 2.3. If you go down. E 2.3,
Which section is it?
it's page 32, 5.02.3. You see it's the same statement.
Once again, these are guidelines, and these are guidelines, and they're fairly specific, but if they're not ordinance-related, then we're gonna be in a situation where we decide one by one. For instance, tinted glazing is an inappropriate treatment.
Yeah.
That's guidance, it's not our ordinance. So when someone comes to us and says, we want to do this, we can counter with it being inappropriate, generally. But then the decision still rests with us, and there's an appeal process. I think we really have no other option. And maybe work at, as an editing thing, eliminate that language coming again and again, unless it's specific to a particular kind of window, and I think in some cases it references a
Well,
particular kind.
Each one of those
window.
sections are different areas about the same, about
Ex-
different things. New windows, installing new windows, bringing back historical windows, and then tinting them.
Well, one of the things you brought up, and it just finally reached my brain moving slow, is that somebody might have a unique problem we have never thought of. And we say, no, 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 and they go through that appeal process, and they say, hey, this is a unique problem that it's never been dealt with before, can you adjust it? Yeah,
Sure.
I feel like they at least have an out to be heard.
And I think we've said that. We have done that.
Yeah, I think so. The way you spoke, it made it so much more clear. I'm sorry I'm slow.
No worries.
So, we
surprised nobody
think en masse here. In my tenure, we had a situation with the first time anyone asked for solar panels on a roof. Well, the guidelines are clearly there, and we've met them the 2 times that I remember that it's come
Right.
before us.
Right.
And we can say, yes, it's appropriate because these are the guidelines, and your design meets that. And I think that addresses in a way what you're saying as well, huh?
Yes.
The only other thing that I would bring here besides edits, that we've all kind of noticed, is on page 66 of the packet, 23 of this thing, section 4.04.3. No statement, no pro or con, whatever, just noting this is now no color palette for people.
Okay, I'm a little bit behind you. Can you,
Oh, I didn't get what this meant either. in the
Guideline 4.04.3, where it talks about
right?
that paragraph, that section, and the section below that, where it talks about colors, there is no longer a recommended color palette.
Okay.
I also didn't understand, that
It
was
has
one
that
of mine.
sentence.
I don't understand
Okay.
what that means, and I don't know if those are terms of art, but and maybe that's how the national wording is, but the body and trim color should not be similar in hue or tone intensity. 2 shades of colors that are closely related, like green and red. Well, is that on a 3-part color wheel? I mean, those, if somebody came to me and said, can I paint this color? And I gave them those words, I wouldn't be able to explain to them what it meant. So that was among my notes, and perhaps we can, does that reference at all what you're talking about, that we could clean up with this color? I don't know what related like green and red. I mean, if you want to be like a Christmas building,
The way that I
I
took
don't
that
get it.
is, the point that I was making is what he's got highlighted right there. I don't think we have a color palette, or do we on our website now, still?
We do on the website.
Okay, then that sentence is okay. And then now,
Okay,
what you are
so-
talking about is
The city.
also the Department of Interior and the Texas Historic Commission does talk about historic colors for buildings. And I am not an artist, but the way that I took that is these are the historic kind of colors, contrasting that you can have normally 3 colors. I mean, I've seen that from watching HGTV. The primary color and the colors you do for the trim, so that's how I took that. I don't know.
These are terms of art, and to be able to say to someone, your body and trim colors should not be similar in hue or tone intensity, that's a pretty specific guideline. And, you know, I mean, I don't know that we have the expertise to determine that. But I'm comfortable with the words, but I'd hate to be in your situation or their situation and try to explain what that means and show me some of this on a piece of wood. I mean, and if that's what it says officially, then, you know, I guess we'll deal with it like windows. Do you have that feeling about it? It's just gobbledygook?
It is kind of gobbledy, yeah.
I mean, I know about the 3 colors. I get all
Yeah.
that.
But you're,
It's when it gets to that body,
but when it starts talking about
body and trim,
specific,
tone, shade, darker light shades of color that are similarly in dark or light, and maybe those words just don't need to be there, that part, and once again, it becomes a decision about appropriateness.
the closely related, like green and red, is what is
Yeah,
confusing
those
to me.
And I think hue or tone intensity really is a kind of a term of art, asking people to be able to make those distinctions, or us for that matter. So I don't know, I mean, I don't know what the answer to that is, and I guess if I were somebody who came and those guidelines were handed to me, and I had to decide on some colors, and then I came to you and said, would you please tell me what this means?
I would take them and show them some of the buildings on Main Street.
And you would say, oh, look at this one, those greens and reds are closely related?
No, I would say those are appropriate colors, or those are things that have been approved.
And just leave this in here like this?
I tend to tell them that if they don't find their color, that they should just propose what they want and bring it and see where it lands. Because colors are like,
Yeah, very subjective.
yeah, we've had so much discussion about colors. It's really going to be, does it look good to y'all?
And we also know that sometimes specific colors have caused community and even international indignation. And, you know, appropriate colors addresses that kind of travesty, I think, better than most of this.
But we also know that, you know, a white building may not look good
Ma'am.
next to another white building, and so it's really
And
up
that's
to
once
the
again
commission.
a design decision about appropriateness. And, you know, leave it in there if it makes sense, or, I don't know. But
Well,
it's
you're
still
right,
gonna-
it may make
it's still
sense
gonna
to an
come down
artist
to,
that
You're
doesn't.
deciding these
the
are
color
colors
wheel.
on the palette, it's gonna come down to that, or our agreeing, or whatever, it's gonna come down to that anyway. So, leave it in, but it sure looks wacky to me.
Leave them in, but don't send them to you for explanation.
I'll just say that I have some experience.
Very good.
I don't.
Wacky, right? Don't put that in the notes.
Could I go back and revisit something on window tinting? And I think I've brought this up before, and I don't know the address, but it's in the 400 block,
431.
431. Is that considered window tinting on those windows? And you know the building I'm talking about, 431, that's got the very psychedelic blues, green, kind of holograph looking, I'm not sure what that's called. But was that something that they got approval or didn't need approval?
They didn't ask.
Okay. Would that be considered window tinting since it's on the windows? Or is it like a window film? Or, I mean, I know there's window films, it's not considered, you know, like what we're talking about here.
In my opinion, it should come before the board, but, you know, if it's a cling,
A clean,
I
right?
s it's still obviously long-term, so I think even the clings, anything applied to the window like that that covers the whole window should be,
So they could put curtains up.
that
And I'm
would,
sure they probably did it for the west, and so that's not the windows, but it gives the same effect as something like that,
Yeah, the horse's axe does that, for example.
yeah.
What if they
This is
paint
one of
the
those
windows?
things that,
Yeah.
you know, when you look at even the Chamber of Commerce and their building, what I like now is we have tied, and that's why I think it's so important to make it across the entire chapters, not just chapter 30, but all the other chapters, but we have tied the certificate of appropriateness all the way through with the permitting folks and with the code compliance folks. And so that stop works has now actually happened, and we will make sure that it is done exactly the way that it was approved before there's a certificate of occupancy. I think now we have made that. So, yes, it sticks in my craw when I look at the Chamber of Commerce, every time I go by, and I tease Diana always, but this is now.
Yeah, and Steve says, what about painted windows? And
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
mean,
talking about seasonal pumpkins,
Like
but
across.
Murals, essentially mural
Well,
windows.
Yeah.
That's covered in
They
here.
need to come to it.
Yeah, it says murals on windows is not appropriate.
okay.
So, do the guidelines, do they have to go any type of legal review or staff review?
they went through certified local governments as well and attorney review. The attorney said they had no comments on the design guidelines, so they didn't recommend any approvals or changes or anything to it. Approvals is not the word, I'm sorry, but they didn't recommend any changes.
So there's no other staff coordination that's
So
required,
all the staff should have looked through it.
including our friend back?
Yes.
Harlan, before he left, Donna said that he was going through some type of historic fire building something and matching it to make sure it was all good, so you may check it.
Okay. Yeah, I was waiting. I talked to him last week, and he was going to review that. I would hope that our consultant has already done that, and so his checking will, you know, be right along with it, confirm that they did their job. But I don't know that.
But to be, as a part of the city and the city staff, then I would want to be sure that we include him and he has
Right.
his voice.
Right.
So therefore, the motion that I would make would be very similar to the last one. That support this, but with edits and final staff coordination. It'd be very, very much like the last one. And therefore, I would make that motion.
And I'll second that. I know what you're saying, so, because every part of staff needs to have signed off on this, really.
Right.
And I would like, actually, on that motion, if you would include that, they have a sign-off sheet, so we know everybody has seen
A
it.
staffing coordination sheet, yes. I don't,
Make that motion, and I'll second.
can we require that?
Site, you want to sign off for staff coordination?
Just that everybody, yes.
Wow, can we require the city staff to do that?
And we'll sign it, but I think Donna said before, as we work through things and it happens. with
Yeah,
the
I think
local
that's
ordinances,
Donna's job.
we have to, you know, we find things that maybe we didn't think about or missed, so we might have to come back with any
Yeah.
type of amendment.
But what I think Mr. Riley is saying is a way to ensure all of the city staff has.
Oh, we hope so, that's our job, right?
Well, you know, just the thing, is there anything here, with the fire marshal has to approve some,
There are some things.
and so,
Egress, yeah.
That's who he
Egress,
was,
yeah.
That's who Mary was saying
Yeah.
is Harlan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think ultimately.
So I would defer to you, and let you make that motion then, and add that.
So they were,
With appropriate staff
Yeah.
review.
yeah, I think it's probably covered with, we'll use the term appropriate staff.
And then the
review.
hierarchy and the order, and ultimately it ends that with you, Donna, but appropriate staff review not only says persons, but also how that hierarchy would work. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Yes.
Good luck, Karen.
They've
No.
already
No.
been through it and done.
Yeah, this is really in-house, the way I understand, because
Oh, with Harlan's, I assume that they included
Any
what
fire
Harlan's
related
looking
things.
for.
Right.
Yes.
My only intent is to make sure the entire city staff is coordinated and including legal. If legal's required for the guidelines. I know
Yeah,
they're required for the ordinance.
we had them look through it, but they didn't have any changes.
Right.
Then for the ordinance, but not for the guidelines. So that would be my motion.
okay. And I second that motion. I think she's got it right now, right?
It's gonna be the same as, the historic preservation ordinance that we just did with the addition of, with appropriate staff review.
Yes.
And Kirk, you made the motion?
Yes.
Steve, you seconded?
Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Once
I look
again,
forward to approving this when it
once
comes back.
again, I applaud
Yes.
the multiple departments being so intent upon
Yes.
cohesive about everybody's function and how they interrelate, and
Appreciated.
I really, really am pleased by that, and I know that it puts everybody's head to the grindstone in a different way, but thank you. Huh?
Right, the more we do it, the easier it'll get.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For the next time.
A second.
And I appreciate them hanging on as long as they did.
They were, I didn't, I give
Second that
everybody the ability to leave. They can make their own decisions and they were, oh, thank you.
No, but I do appreciate them hanging on as long as they did.
But
Second that emotion, Linda.
emotion, right?
Second
No,
that
good
emotion.
work, thank you.
Donna's done a great job too. with
Indeed,
making sure that
indeed.
everybody's included and, yeah.
Okay, we got 3 staff updates.
Yep. Moving on to staff updates for 125.
These are things that I have approved on the staff level. And some of them were from last time, but I didn't get the pictures to you. So Zigzag Galleries didn't change their sign. You had previously approved it, but it was damaged by the storm. And so they just reprinted the sign and we're putting it up. That's the first one. And then 531 West Crawford, Mel's Grill changed the location of the sign that you approved previously. And finally, the Masonic Lodge, the long sign that's there, I approved that in the office.
Will
I
they be
just got
taking-
their application.
Will they be taking that smaller one down, or they still keep that one up?
I didn't ask that.
Yeah, I think that smaller one is historic.
Boy, nobody's gonna miss it, that's for darn sure. Might have a wreck.
Maybe y'all know where the Masonic Lodge is.
Yeah, right around the corner by the bar. Say
Okay.
when.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second,
Okay.
thank you, everybody.